Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsachanura Mardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Tvameva Mata Cha Pitattvameva Tvameva Bandhusya Sakhattvameva Tvameva Vidya Dravidam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Amadeva Deva Tvameva Sarvam Gurudeva Deva. Hari Om. We are doing the Panchadashi, the 14th chapter, says Brahmanande Vidyanandaha, where one can gain by understanding using a discriminative intellect, Aham Brahmasmi, that has to be learned, and the knowledge has to take place in the mind, because it's the mind that has the wrong notions that I am this. Just as like a moon thinking that I am a self-luminous entity, looking at its own brightness and luminosity, and recognizes that I am by nature self-luminous. To that confused moon, one has to get education. You go and learn that the luminosity that you exhibit is not your own nature, it's coming from the sunlight. But when I say I am consciousness, it is the I am part is coming from the totality, from the pure Satchidananda, and I am equal to this is identification because of the Tadatmyam, that means complete identification with the body. I am the body. The mind has the notion that I am the mind. I am a conscious entity, and I am the mind. And at the same time, it has the notion that I can see my mind. So mind says I know my mind. So it is a peculiar situation where the subject object both duality arises in the mind, and at the same time mind thinks the objects are outside, even though the thoughts are in the mind only. And some philosophers say, I create myself the world and I perceive it. That's not the way Vedanta says. The creation is done by the total mind, but I am perceiving it as though that perception, and then take that perception as real. So there's the reality that I superimpose on what I perceive is the problem there. And that because I take myself, I am perceiving my own body. Perceiving means I know my body. This is an object of my knowledge. Idam shariram kaunteya. Krishna says this body is also idam, a kshetram. And I know I am kshetrajna, and at the same time I go around and saying that I am the body, I am the mind, I am the intellect. Who does that? Again the mind. So that minds need to get education, and says that Vijnanartham Sagurum Eva Abhigacchit. One has to go to a teacher and learn instructions to the mind, not just the inert mind, activated mind, enlivened mind, or the consciousness that identifies with the mind needs to go educated. That consciousness part is coming from the totality, and this part is coming from the locality, or from the body, mind, intellect, and the world. Once I recognize that I am who that I am is, I am pure Satchidananda, that is, I have nothing to do with any of this. Once I know, I can use this for transactional purposes, but I am beyond transactions, I am infinite, I don't even have to transact anything. But as long as the prarabdha means because of the actions done in the past, because of which I am taking a birth in this life, taking a particular body, mind, intellect, conducive to exhaust those particular vasanas that I am bringing in. That's called prarabdha karma. The body, mind, intellect will be alive. So even though I know that I am not the body, mind, intellect, the individual is I am Brahmasmi, the one who knows the Brahman. Now who occupies the Brahman, that body, mind, intellect, Aham Brahmasmi, the one with the knowledge, is occupying as though, quote unquote, because it is infinite, as though identifying locally for transactional purposes until the prarabdha karma goes away. And that's what we are doing in the sloka 50. Prarabdha karmani kshine, prarabdha karmani kshine, vyavaharo nivartate, vyavaharo nivartate, Karmakshaye tvasau naiva. Karmakshaye tvasau naiva. Shamye dhyana sahasrataha. Shamye dhyana sahasrataha. This is prarabdha. As long as the prarabdha karma is there, the chine vyavaharaha nivartada. You cannot but avoid transactions in the world. So, no, I'm going to sit in the Himalayas. If that's prarabdha karma demands for you to go into Himalayas, then you will be going to Himalaya. But prarabdha karma has to involve you coming and doing the teaching everywhere else, then it will bring you down. That's why Gurudev is essentially, he wanted to, he went there up and learned, and then there's urge to share that knowledge. Urge is coming from where? From the prarabdha karma only. That he has to share that knowledge to everybody, and he has to come down with the permission of the teacher. And when he came down and propagated that, that's a part of the prarabdha karma. And the prarabdha karma has several components, and we can think of at least three components. One is the one that he himself has done directly, that is what he has to experience, and that's why he has a particular body and mind and intellect. And also there is a local samishti prarabdha, like his parents and the siblings, everybody, parents wanted a child, so you are born. So there is a desire that has to be fulfilled according to the needs of the parent. So it is the prarabdha of the parent that you are born to them also. It is your prarabdha to be born to them, it is their prarabdha that you are born to them. And at the same time, the environment, siblings, also they have prarabdha to put up with you. And all other associations that you encounter in the world has, because of their prarabdha, you are dealing with them. So all samishti prarabdha is also involved in terms of maintaining that body, mind, intellect. In addition to that, there is a prarabdha that is from the totality coming in, where there are seekers who want a teacher. So because tad vijnanartam sa gurum eva abhigachet samitvani sotriyam brahmanishtam. The one who has realized and one who has studied shastra from his teacher, you approach a teacher. Tad vidhi pranipatena pariprasnena sevaya. Krishna says that with the humility you go and approach a teacher. Who is a teacher? Himself has learned these shastras, and also how to know, he knows how to teach, and also he is reveling in that. That means a jnani. And therefore, a jnani has to be there for me to go and learn. So when I go and learn, I may not know that he is a jnani, but if I know that I am gaining the knowledge, then I know that the knowledge is coming from all the way. So in order to have a teacher, appropriate teacher, I can go, because there are so many teachers, and you only approach attracted to a particular type of teacher that suits your temperaments. Other teachers will not be satisfied. I remember when Gurudev was there, and some lady asked the question and answers, Swamiji, why India sends all these useless teachers? And at that time there was a racketing teachers, where one young fellow coming and he was being treated in the Houston with a bag and all that. Ultimately he married his own secretary, and then he left that mission. His mother denounced him because he married some American lady and she installed somebody else there. So these gurus are examples for that, and she was saying that how come India sends these type of gurus, why doesn't it certify only qualified gurus to go to India, go to America? That's what her lady was. So Gurudev was explaining very simply that if you go to a grocery store, and when you find lot of things that are being sold by the manager or store owner, you pick up what you want, look at the ingredients, and that is suitable for you, you pick up and bring it home. And you cannot question why the store owner is selling all sorts of other things that you don't need it. It's your intelligence. Other people need that, therefore he sells. He has to cater to the needs of everybody. That's why he is selling all that. you by mistake took a wrong one, at least now you go and return it. In America you can return it and you get money back, whereas in India you have to suffer with it. But now you got a new lesson that you have to be more careful in selection of what you are going to take. At least that much of lesson is required for you, so you have a teaching. So when you go to a wrong teacher, and the wrong teacher will teach you, and whatever you go through and now learn that that was a wrong teacher, but that was a lesson required for you in order to progress. Now next time you will be more careful. So God has to cater to different types. So you have to be careful in terms of selection of the teacher. So how do I select the teacher? I can select based on a Sotriya, one who can teach to my question and answer depending upon the how rational I am. He can provide the logical answers to me. Then I am satisfied and I can go on further. So depending upon the nature of the student, a teacher is approachable, and depending on that one approved. Where other people who went to Ramana Maharshi, he was not teaching, there was only silence, but he says, inquire who am I? If I inquire who am I in his presence, but if I know silence, everybody is silent there. So if I don't know how to learn from the silence, then that's not the right teacher. Some people went there and says, I couldn't get anything, came back. Some people enjoyed that, and all other questions were answered in silence itself. So depending upon the nature of the student, you approach a proper teacher. So until then, for those students who need a appropriate teacher, the Lord himself maintains that particular body, mind, intellect. Lord is nothing but Brahman, but he is the Brahman because he is Aham Brahmasmi, that's the knowledge. So Brahman maintains that particular body, mind, intellect until the prarabdha of the students are also coming there to learn. And once Lord feels that there is enough teaching and there are other people who can now take over, then that part is over. So prarabdha karma can only be exhausted by vyavahara, by transacting with this one. You cannot go anywhere, you will be bound to come back. So karma akshaye tvasau naiva. So karma akshaye, the actions that are already done, you cannot exhaust them unless you cannot just escape that. So you have to be born in order to exhaust that one. And only the sanchita karma and agami karma that goes away with the knowledge, but not the prarabdha karma. Therefore, you cannot, by sitting and meditation, you cannot get rid of the karma. That's what it says. Even sahasrataha, even 1,000 meditations will not remove what need to be done. A karma has to propel you to go around whatever. So therefore, a jnani will be traveling around or do whatever that is required in order to exhaust the prarabdha karma. Now we'll do 51. Viralatvam vyavahruterishtam Viralatvam vyavahruterishtam Jhanamastute Abhadikaha vyavahrutim Pasyandhyayamyaham kutaha Together. Viralatvam vyavahruterishtam Dhyanamastute Abhadikaha vyavahrutim Pasyandhyayamyaham kutaha. So vyavahruti, if the activities, viralatvam is involved in the decreasing of the activities, if the prarabdha karma is demanding in such a way that it wants you to withdraw from the activities of the world. So your prarabdha is to go and meditate in the cave of Himalayas, then it will automatically, the mind will be automatically withdraws and propel you to go there. That itself is part of the prarabdha only. So vyavahruti of all the activities, viralatvam. So essentially, if you have to decreasing, say if it is required, may you meditate on that. In that case, if that is the case, ishtam is expected, say for you, jhanamastu, then you go and do meditation. So that meditation is also part of the of the prarabdha karma. Because you already know, now, oh, I have to sit in the meditation, I already learned. So if that's what is the required, then you go and sit. Says, I already learned, I had to see in and through the world what it is that, because even though I learned, I had to see in and through, because the world is also you only. There's no difference between either you sit in the Himalayas or you transact in the world. You are reveling, as long as your mind is reveling in that, you remain as a jnanam, because you are a witnessing consciousness. It is the body, mind and intellect that is transacting, and that's what is the knowledge is. So, jhanam astute, if that is what astu, take for you, let dhanam astu, let there be meditation. You may meditate. So, vyavahrutam abhadikam. So, the self-knowledge, the transactions are not opposite to the knowledge. That's what essentially it says. So, vyavahrutam abhadikam. So, self-knowledge is not opposite to the of the vyavahara. So one can transact or not transact, it doesn't matter, because transaction is done only with the body, mind, intellect, and I understood that I am not the body, mind, intellect. So how does it matter whether the body, mind, intellect wants to sit in the cave or in the outside? So that is the whole idea, is you are beyond the activities or non-activities, either kartum sakyum, akartum sakyum, or anyadha kartum sakyum. It won't matter, because you are a witnessing consciousness of the body, mind, intellect, which is either in the meditation or transacting. So one has to be, as long as I don't get involved and develop a vasanas there. So abhadikam, self-knowledge is not opposite to activities. Aham kutaha jhayami. So why should I sit down and meditate? Because transaction in the world is not opposite to self-knowledge. Self-knowledge is not. So the karma is not opposite to jnanam. So the karma is opposite to only ignorance only. So ignorance is opposite to knowledge. So once your ignorance is removed, you are knowledgeable. So there is a sloka in the Atma Bodha. Avirodhitaya karma avidyam na vinivartayet. So vidya vidyam niham cheva tejas temira sangavatu. So you cannot gain the knowledge by karma, and also you cannot lose the knowledge by karma. So therefore both ways are working. Here it's talking about the other side, where having a jnanam, you cannot lose the jnanam by activities in the world. That is therefore why should I meditate, or why should I act also? So what is happening? Whatever the body demands will be going on, because meditation will not change the body demands. 52. Vikshepo nasti yasmat me, vikshepo nasti yasman me, na samadhistado mama, na samadhistado mama, vikshepo va samadhirva, vikshepo va samadhirva, manasasya vikarinaha, manasasyat vikarinaha. Together. Vikshepo nasti yasman me, na samadhistato mama, vikshepo va samadhirva, manasasyat vikarinaha. So yasmad, because, me to me, vikshepa means agitations, na asti. I am not getting agitated that I have to go here, I have to do that and all that, because agitations are only in the mind. Mind may get agitated, but I do not. So there is a difference in subtle, because I don't get carried away with the mind. When I am observing the mind meditate, getting agitated, the agitations automatically stops. So this is the trick of that is, if I start observing my own mind trying to get agitated, say, why are you getting unnecessarily agitated? So automatically mind becomes calm and quiet. So whenever the mind gets agitated, you have to stand apart and be a witnessing agent for a sadhana. But once you are firmly abides in that, you have no way. It doesn't matter mind gets agitated or not, but one has to be careful, because the mind is tendency to identify with the mind and then getting agitated becomes a problem. That's why Paramatmananji calls it as FIR reduction. FIR means frequency of perturbation, the intensity of perturbation, and the recovery time from perturbation decreases as I abide in the knowledge. So it is a asymptotic process, means slowly reducing your involvement in the world as you revel in that. So automatically the mind withdraws in unnecessarily things, but whatever the obligatory things that are required, it will go through the prarabdha karma. 53. Nityanubhava rupasya Nityanubhava rupasya Komevānubhava prutaku Komevānubhava prutaku Krutam krutyam papaniyam Krutam krutyam prapaniyam Praptamityeva nischayah Praptamityeva nischayah. So together, Nityanubhava rupasya Komevānubhavaha pratak Krutam krutyam prapaniyam Praptimecheva nischayah. So here the Vidyaranya says, the knowledge is not opposed to karma. Therefore, whatever the body, mind and intellect is demanding as a result of the previous vasanas or the activities at the body level due to prarabdha karma, it will go through, and it has nothing to do with you or with the jnani, but it's something to do with the particular body, mind, intellect. But the onlookers think that you are acting, you are eating, you are sleeping, you are misbehaving, you are all that attribution by the onlookers, because they do not know your reveling of the mind. They cannot see the mind. They can only see activities and associate that you are a karta for it. And you may do lot of things which according to them is illegal, and they may put you in a jail also, but for you it doesn't matter whether they put in the body in the jail or outside, because you know that that's a part of the karma it has to. There's an interesting I think what is the Japan Zen theory, an example in the Zen story. So there was one Mahatma who was teaching about the having satsang, and a lot of people were getting a lot of help, and they were listening to him, and every day there was satsang going on. And suddenly the neighbor came and started coming in when the satsang is going on, and started accusing the fellow left and right and giving all sorts of golly, abusing, because his daughter has become pregnant by somebody, and she told that it is this guy who is responsible. The one who is a jnani was sitting there, he is responsible of becoming, so she wanted to escape somehow and told that he is responsible. And this fellow, taking his daughter's word as real, comes and bangs left and right in front of everybody that my daughter became pregnant because of you, you had to take care and all that, and you are doing satsang here, but all over you are misbehaving. All that he gave a left and right to that. And everybody was stunned to listen to all that. My God, we thought this man is a Mahatma and this man is doing all that. We don't want that. So everybody started leaving that, and there was nobody there. Mahatma didn't say anything, yes or no. He just kept quiet. Then when the delivery is over, he brought the baby and says, this is your baby, you take care of it. So he left the baby in the lap of that Mahatma, and the neighbor left with his daughter. And what can Mahatma do? Says, now he has a baby. Okay, it looks like this is my prarabdha, but baby has to be fed. So he was taking care of the baby with the feeding milk and take sure that the baby is okay. And maybe I had to, this is part of this one. So he was going through and taking care of the baby and playing with the baby. And after a couple of days, the daughter told the fact that he was not really father. I just told because I told a lie. The other fellow is a daughter. He has nothing to do with this, because the daughter felt guilty maybe, or he wanted the baby. So this man felt so bad, and he came running back and said, sorry sir, I am so sorry, I did all sorts of things and I thought you are a father. My daughter told like that, but now she told me that you are not really father and you are not responsible at all, and I'll thank you for taking care of this baby and I'll take the baby back. He said, all right. He didn't say anything. He took the baby back. So the whole process of this is, why didn't you say anything? He says, this is part of my prarabdha, has to go through. It's that is over now. So that is the real Mahatma. So we thought that should we do one thing also? So it's not that one has to keep quiet like that. One can give back also. That's a part of prarabdha too. So if somebody, you don't have to be a doormat and all that. So even giving that back is also part of the prarabdha that can be done. Because when Krishna says, according to the Gita, he never spared anyone left and right, because he is having all the chakrams and all that, and where punishment is required, he was punishing. He didn't say, this is my prarabdha and so on. So when the action is required, it's a part of the action also, but at the same time, he knows that I am not an actor. So one can act what is required and at the same time be a witnessing agent. That becomes a real knowledge. So here it says Nitya Anubhava Rupasya, same thing is being told here. So Anubhav, experience of all that which is, if I am the conscious entity, I am Satchidananda, everything is me only. So every experience I am there, because experience cannot take place without consciousness being there. So I am, as a consciousness, I am going through every experience as I know. So the experience is validated because of the consciousness is presented. So Nitya Anubhava Rupasya, so I am there in every experience also. So therefore, Nitya Anubhava Rupasya, the nature of external, the consciousness experiencing in terms of worlds also. So what is the world? World is nothing but the Lord himself in different names. So it's not really different from me only. So I'm experiencing myself only in that. So if somebody gives a gali, who is giving? Myself is going in that form to me. So that should be understanding. So I give back also, that's also part of me only. So you don't have to put up with it. This body will give back the things also. So Nitya Anubhava Rupasya, so one has to be careful here. Nitya Anubhava Rupasya, of the nature of external conscious existence, may Prutak Anubhava, I am experiencing varieties and varieties of beautiful things in the world, beautiful as well as ugly things also happening. So you don't have to spare this one. When ugly things comes, you try to stop it. When the violence and evil is there, that is what the dharma means. There, every god in Hinduism never tolerated the adharma aspect. That's why we call them gods. And every god is equipped with all the missiles and everything else in order to deal with the problem. So therefore, the Hinduism doesn't preach a dormant philosophy. It's actively goodness. What Gurudev used to say, it's active goodness, not a passive goodness. Active goodness is be active to make sure the good is good and the bad is bad, and bad is prevented and the goods. Therefore, sarve bhava sukhino, sarve bhavana sukhino bhavantu, sarve jana sukhino bhavantu. So let everybody be happy. That is the prayer of that. If somebody is trying to make not people happy, then you have to stop that. That's also part of the drama of life also. So Nitya Anubhava Rupasya Kome Anubhavaha Prutak. So I'm feeling the varieties and varieties of experiences. And Krutam Krutyam Papaniyam Prapti. So Krutam Krutyam. So having done what need to be done and having gained what need to be done. So what is there I had to do? There's nothing. So whatever is done, you can stand back as a part of the Leela Vibhuti. So even punishing others also part of the Leela. And even the body is doing something, you have to stand. Leela means it's a play. So play doesn't have any problem. But play, you have to follow the rules. And people don't follow the rules, you have to put them in the proper place also. So everything is included in this. So that's what essentially involves in the Jnanam. So how Jivan Mukta operates in the world is being here is elaborately discussed in this chapter by the Vidyananda. The Vidyaranya Swami says the Brahmanande Vidyanandaha in the 14th chapter. Stop here. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi